Mass Bungie layoffs draw fury from Destiny 2 fans, as well as past and present employees. Now, why exactly does this topic sound so familiar to me? It's almost like I made a video about this not even that long ago. Would you look at that? I did. I called it Bungie Had It Coming, and it was 8 months ago that I uploaded it. And guess what? I actually received quite a bit of backlash for what I had to say in this video. A lot of people did not appreciate my opinion on Bungie. This is because there's a lot of people out there that are Destiny fans. They've invested a whole lot of time into Destiny 2, and they want to see that investment come into fruition in the form of more content so that they can keep playing the game. I understand your position, but at the end of the day, I stand by everything that I said in this video, in which I said, I hope Bungie goes under. I hope they burn to the ground, because that is essentially what they deserve, and the gaming industry will be a better place when they are gone. And again, this is something that I say and that is going to upset people, but fundamentally, the monetization practices that this company does, the way in which they sell you expansions and then charge you extra to get the dungeon associated with said expansion, to the point where even some veteran players of Destiny 2 get confused in the way in which this game is monetized. Their previous practices where they nerfed the XP gains in a despicable way and then lied about it until they were caught, and then eventually had to fess up to what they had done. And just the overall company culture of Bungie is absolutely disgusting. So once again, I'm going to put myself in the crosshairs, and people are going to come in and they're going to give me crap, and they're going to tell me, you're just doing this for the views, when in reality, I don't want to do this for the views. I'm doing this because I don't want to see any other publisher out there copy the monetization practices that Bungie is doing. Because I can assure you right now that companies like EA and Activision and Microsoft, they're looking at the business practices that Bungie is getting away with, and they're like flies in a giant pile of shit, and they're just going like, oh, look at what they're doing, bro. We can get away with it. Look at it. They're getting away with it, and their player base loves it, and let's friggin' go. Let's do the same. And it's disgusting, and I really do hope that they burn down. And at the time that I made this video, 100 people were laid off from Bungie, and it's disgusting. And I feel for the people that were laid off. This time there's even more. We'll get to that. But here's the situation. I don't want anybody losing their jobs. I don't. It kind of sucks because you always lose talent, because there's going to be people that lose another position in video games and they're like, bro, this industry is way too unstable. I'm going to get into software development, like on the private sector or something like that, working on some random application, or maybe even get into a completely different sector altogether that doesn't even involve development of software, because people just get tired of having to constantly be looking for a new goddamn job. People are passionate about these things, and their passion gets constantly exploited by companies like Bungie. Now, if you remember, back then, there was an article that I went over in that one video, and basically, while owned by Sony, because Bungie was purchased by Sony, they continued to operate as an independent arm. Wider Sony asked for spending cuts resulted in Bungie deciding on a large number of layoffs. Estimates say around 100 employees. They didn't say exactly how many they were, which was about 8% of the company. Now, these employees were also fired at a point where they basically lost a bunch of benefits. As you can see here, some employee benefits expire at the end of the month, meaning being fired on the 30th just means a single day of additional coverage for those benefits. So basically, they were like, okay, make sure to fire them at a point where we don't even have to do their benefits coverage for the next month. So they just completely screwed them over, as well as a lot of people had a bunch of shares that got taken away from them because they needed to be with the company a certain amount of years to be able to benefit from those shares. Not to mention that when they were purchased by Sony, they specifically said we are not going to be doing any layoffs, which, obviously they did, which is a disgusting thing to do. But this is the situation that we find ourselves in back then. Now, we find ourselves in an even worse situation, because if we go over this article here from Paul Tassi from Forbes. Now, Paul Tassi is someone who covers a lot of Destiny stuff. He actually plays the game obsessively, as far as I can tell, so he should be fairly knowledgeable on the topic. And he mentions Bungie announced yesterday it would lay off 220 employees, which is about 17% of the company, move 155 more employees to roles within Sony Interactive Entertainment, and take another 40 employees or so and create a new sub-studio under Sony to make a new game. Now, as Baltassi mentions here, it is a decimation of the company which comes after 100 plus layoffs late last year. The reaction was sorrow, but also unbridled rage, mainly directed at Bungie leadership. And we're going to get into this. But the important thing is, when I say that Bungie needs to burn into the ground, what you need to understand is the main reason I say this is because first you saw 100 people getting laid off. There was probably even more layoffs before the situation that I reported on 8 months ago. But 8 months ago, you saw 100 people getting laid off. These were the people that were telling upper management that like, hey, listen, guys, we got to change things. We got to do right by our players. These were the people that were fighting for you. For you, the Destiny 2 players that are going to come into this video and crap all over me for my opinion, these people that they laid off, these are the people that are fighting for you so that you can get a better game experience. These are the people that are kicking out of the team. I want you to keep that in mind, okay? And fundamentally, when I say that they need to burn to the ground is because, let's face it, the C-suite executives, they're never going to feel any of this. None of this is ever going to affect them. You think they're going to be affected? No, they're going to keep firing people. They're going to keep firing the people that are fighting for you. The people that are making the content for your game. The artists, the developers, the programmers, all of them, they're the ones getting fired. The people that are mismanaging the company, the upper C-suite executives, to them, it's just business as usual. Fuck these people. Sacrifice them on the altar of the Line God because Line must go up so that their shares go up 1% of a point or something ridiculous like that. This is absolutely ridiculous. And if you support this type of stuff, I mean, that's up to you. I feel for the people that got fired. Like I said, it sucks because fundamentally there's a ton of talent that just gets ejected from this industry. Because you think out of these 220 people that got laid off, you think all 220 of them are just going to jump back into the treadmill of another job in the gaming industry on another AAA publisher that is going to once again grind them into a fine pulp and then kick them out whenever the line doesn't go up enough? Get the fuck out of here. Listen to what Sven Vink has been saying about this industry, wherein he keeps telling there's a way to do things where you don't need this absolute greed that everybody operates on. Now listen to this part, right? The unbridled rage directed at Bungie leadership, namely Bungie CEO Pete Parsons, where it was dug up that he allegedly has spent $2.5 million on classic cars since the Sony deal. So ever since they were purchased by Sony, my man's just gone on a spending spree. He's like, bro, I'm going to buy that car. I'm going to buy that car. He's the Andrew Tate of video game CEOs. He's got a Bugatti. He's like, hey, what color's your Bugatti? That's what he's doing. It's absolutely disgusting that we've had situations in the past, for instance, where when the 3DS wasn't performing as well, Iwata stepped up and he said, no, everybody on upper management is going to take a pay cut to ensure that we can keep our people. Because guess what? People that are scared of losing their jobs are never going to make a good game. It's just not going to happen because they're going to be stressed out of their fucking minds. Constantly thinking, ooh, is this the day that I'm going to become a goddamn statistic? Is this the day? And it's just, bro, it is absolutely insane to me that there's going to be people that are going to be defending this. They're going to, I kid you not, they're going to come to the comment section of this video and go, actually, Rurikhan, why would you wish for the company to burn? Because there's no other way to get rid of the C-suite executives. That's why. This company is rotten from the top. So it doesn't matter like that you have good developers because I know, like I've always said, Destiny 2 has some of the best gunplay in the business as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't matter because the greed is going to keep coming from the top and the people that are actually making this game are going to be the ones that are going to continue to suffer and they're going to be the ones that are going to be continue to laid off. Because you see, those 220 people that got laid off, they're now going to go into the industry and they're going to hire a bunch of newcomers that they can pay less of a salary to, and they're going to put those people and they're going to churn them back into firing them a couple of years from now once they have to pay them more, just like they've done for the 220 people that they fired. This is absolutely disgusting. And there's no solution to it. That's the problem. If I could see a world in where there was a solution, actually, this is redeemable somehow. We can fix Bungie. But I don't, because the problem is at the top. And the top people will never get punished because they're at the top. That's the advantage. And it's not just Bungie. There are other companies that need to go the way of the dodo too. It's not just them. But here's an interesting thing, right? So they make this big blog post. I'm not going to read it because it's basically like Pete Parsons going like, oh, it's so bad. I feel so bad. Not enough to take a paycheck cut though, because I need to keep, my habit of buying expensive luxury cars. I got to keep that in check. So, if some people got to go, they got to go. I like these employees. I don't like them as much as this car that I bought last week. Okay. That's where this thing goes. But anyways, if you want to go read that one, feel free to do so. We have a couple of messages here that were posted from former employees. I've actually checked Twitter for these messages. Paul just kind of like quotes it, but I've seen the Twitter posts. But we have a former employee here by the media lead Griffin Bennett calling on Peter Parsons to step down. C-suite taking accountability for any of this, or still just withholding bonuses, which is what they did last year, 8 months ago, like I've mentioned, where they kind of like screwed people out of their bonuses and their benefits and all of that stuff. And it'll be settled in-house. Poor leadership has crushed one of the greatest developers of all time, retire Pete. Never going to happen. My man needs to keep buying his expensive cars, dude. And then you also have here Liana Rupert, who used to be the former community manager. And she says, you are a liar, a thief, and so many things we can't discuss publicly. Now, this one right here is sounding a little bit spicy. We've been seeing a lot of drama within the community this year. Who knows what this particular allegation here might be? I hope that Liana has a couple of receipts, because I'm pretty sure that people are going to be reaching out to her asking, hey, tell me about these things you can't discuss publicly. But she's probably under an NDA, so she can't slander her previous boss. Well, I say slander. She's saying there's a lot more stuff that we can't even get into. She then follows up by saying, step down and without this giant Sony payout. This isn't on Sony. This is squarely on the failure of leadership, plain and simple. And this is why I keep saying there's no redeeming this. You can't fix this because the rot is at the top. Can't fix it. There's no way, unless there's like some kind of solution that I'm not aware of, that somebody can just go in and be like, no, this CEO's got to go. I mean, they might, because now they're under Sony. Maybe Erman Holst will step in and be like, nah, bro, you got to go. Get out of here and take your cars with you. Get the fuck out. And here's the interesting thing. Even the current community manager, DMG, who has recently returned to the company, didn't hold back on the situation. Now, I actually went to this person's Twitter profile, and he's actually been retweeting every single person that got fired, to kind of help them out so that other companies see the visibility and all that. He's been retweeting every single one of them for visibility so that they can hopefully land on their feet in a new job, which is, commendable. We appreciate that. But basically, he had this to say: inexcusable. I want you to keep in mind, this is someone who is employed at Bungie right now. Okay. It's like, dude's all out of fucks to give. Inexcusable, industry-leading talent being lost. Yet again, accountability falling upon the workers who have pushed the needle to deliver for our community time and time again, which is pretty much what I've told you. These are the people that are fighting for you. The fans of Destiny. These are the people getting fired, the 222 dudes that got fired, plus the 175, plus the 41s that got sent to Sony. These are the people fighting for you, trying to make a better product for you. These are people with passion for the game that you are working on. These are not the people that decide on these disgusting monetization practices, but these are the people that are getting fired. These are the people that are getting punished. These are the people that they're getting rid of, because the C-suite executives, no, we can't do that. They're too big to fall. Now, here's another interesting thing. You might be wondering, but how's the game doing? The game is a massive success right now. And with their disgusting monetization practices, it is a massive success, not only from a critical standpoint, I believe, because their latest expansion, I believe, was not as good or something like that. I haven't kept up with the whole situation. But Final Shape, which released on June 4th, 2024, is actually did actually really well. So if you see here on the Steam charts, this shows you how many concurrent players are on Destiny. This number might not seem too relevant. That's because the game initially for starters, the game was initially only on consoles, if I'm not mistaken. And then when it eventually came to PC, it was on the Battle.net launcher. And it was only a long time after that it came to Steam. So when it came to Steam, that was actually not even its all-time, the biggest peak that Destiny has ever seen, because that would probably be in the millions. But anyways, the all-time concurrent peak players was 316,000. This was probably around the time that the game released on Steam. But if we scroll down here, back in June, which once again is when we got the release of the Final Shape, which is their latest expansion, the peak was actually 314,000. Which is almost their all-time peak. So this means the game is extremely successful right now. And with their monetization, they are making bang. Make no mistake, this game is brutally successful, and they're probably experiencing close to record profits. There's no way they're not, unless they're even more incompetent than I give them credit for. But basically, that's the point that we're at. So these people are getting fired despite the fact all of the work that they've done has ensured that this game is actually really successful. I repeat what I said. There's no way to fix this. Bungie needs to go under. That's all there is to it. And as a matter of fact, if I was an employee at Bungie, if I was like a game developer at Bungie, I'd be looking at an exit strategy. Because 8 months down the line, it might be you. That's just the situation we're in. I hate that it's like this, because I keep seeing talent leave this industry because they're done. Because it's incredible to me that this industry is more successful than the Hollywood movie industry. We make more money than the Hollywood movie industry, but somehow the talent, the actual talent in this industry, is treated with so much disrespect and basically no respect whatsoever for their job. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous, bro. I have no idea how you guys can defend this. I have no idea how you guys can support this. I feel terrible for everybody that got fired. I hope that people are able to land on their feet. And I hate the fact that your passion has been absolutely exploited and that you've been churned out by this absolutely disgusting industry with some of these publishers, at least. It's sickening to me, dude. We've had some of the best years that we've had in gaming in 2023 and 2024. These have been banger years, constant banger games coming out, and yet we keep seeing the talent be churned into a fine pulp. I can't stand it.